Not everybody is a fan of big people. So, Alyssa, when you are ready, if you want to read some comments, let's see what kind of answers we have. That's the person I'm hoping to turn everybody else into, right? So, some people are just not small people. Because my life has been so surrounded with diet and weight loss, especially because of the TV show, I get a lot of comments like this. There's no question that gaining weight physically is a calorie in, calorie out thing. There is also a question that for some reason we don't answer is why does it affect some people differently than other people? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Big Man, Big Problems podcast. My name is Julio, and I started this podcast to talk about the issues of being a big man. But I bet you didn't know that I was such a big shot that I actually have a social media manager. Okay. And her name is Alyssa, and she's here with me now. And we decided to do something really, really cool today. We are going to respond to some listeners' comments. So Alyssa's going to read them to me live, and I'm going to respond to them live. Now, I will tell you, we did not pre plan this. I don't know what the comments are just yet, but I'm going to do my best to not really sound like an idiot as I'm doing these things. And I'm going to try to give you a real raw interpretation. Now, I'm going to warn you, okay? Not all these comments are positive. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of doing a podcast about big people is, well, not everybody agrees with me about everything I'm saying, and not everybody is a fan of big people. You know, Alyssa, one of the odd things about being overweight is for some reason it's one of those things in society that we're still allowed, for whatever reason, make fun of openly or dislike or hate or whatever term you want to use for it. A lot of disabilities and addictions and issues are no longer looked at as that person's fault, but for some reason, obesity is. And one of the things that we really want to change with this podcast is for people to realize that obesity it's a medical issue. This isn't a choice for a lot of us. This isn't a lifestyle choice. And that's not in all cases. In some cases, people just literally put themselves where they are, but why they put themselves there is still an issue. What in their mind let them become who they are and what they are? And that could be a mental health issue. There could be physical issues. But regardless, with this podcast and hopefully through conversation and through comments, we can get past this a little bit and we can find a way to help each other all just be better. So, Alyssa, when you are ready, if you want to read some comments, let's see what kind of answers we have. Oh, by the way, I'm so cool. I also have this super cool producer named Jenny. And Jenny is a young lady who's the one sitting behind the computer. All right, go ahead. I had to give her props because she's really cool and awesome. Yeah.
So
All right.
let's dive in.
So let's dive in.
Okay. So the first comment is, I don't see a problem if you're strong AF and big. I've been between 230 and 250 for years. I stay at 210 now, but I can do pull-ups and push-ups, etc.
That's the person I'm hoping to turn everybody else into, right? So some people are just not small people. You know what I've always wondered? How does somebody like myself make it to 300 or 400 pounds, right? Like eating for me has always been borderline addiction. Okay. I love food. Everybody knows me, knows I love everything about food. But I never saw myself at any time eating more than other people or eating at levels that seemed like you're gorging. Like you make a movie of this guy because he just spends the hours of 11 o'clock at night to 2 in the morning just stuffing his face with ding dongs and pizza. Like I've never really done that. So what allows one person to gain 100 pounds in a year? And then what allows another person who eats the same way to gain 30 pounds in a year? Like, I've never quite understood that, you know? But the truth is, not all of us are really, really built the same. Okay.
Mhm.
At my thinnest, at the age of 18, I was 190 pounds and I was a 32 waist. Most 32 waists are not 199 pounds, they're 160 pounds. But I was 190, 200, so I just have a bigger frame than most. So some people are just more comfortable in that larger size, but yet they still feel like they're not keeping up. People still look at them like, hey, how come you're not more fit? Hey, why don't you go on these drugs or whatever? Why can't someone like that gentleman just be happy in the world he's in? He's at a weight, maybe it's bigger than most people are comfortable with, but he's able to be active. He's able to live the life the way he wants to live his life. That's the way we all need to be. I said in one of my last podcasts, I wish I can go back and talk to Julio 10 years ago when I was 100 pounds less, still 100 pounds more than I think any doctor would want me, but 100 pounds less than where I am now. But let me tell you something. I was active. I was biking. I was swimming. I was running. You and I were talking earlier about when I did some triathlons after the show. I was nearly 300 pounds doing those triathlons. I
Mhm.
was training for a marathon. I was 299 pounds. So what does the scale matter?
What I think is interesting about that too is even in the crazy fitness arena, even them, they kinda battle. You could be in the gym 7 days a week, working out 3 hours, however your genetics are, just how your genetics are, and that's why a lot of everyone's favorite fitness influencers are getting work done. They're on steroids, they claim to have this BBL routine that you can do in the gym, but they had a BBL, and their doctors are telling them what to post to make it seem like they grew it on their own.
One of the things I love, because a lot of these body positivity podcasts, right?
Mhm,
A lot of these conversations I have found really do surround women.
mhm,
I don't know of very many, if any, like myself, who do it when it comes to men talking about these things.
mhm,
But there's a lot of influence when it comes to women. It's one of the positive things that came out of that is we now live in an era where, hips and the rear ends and the BBLs are a thing now. It's a positive. If you watch a TV show from the 80s or 90s, right, and you see one of these actresses, they don't have any of that.
Oh, and now we're going back to that. As trends recycle, now
Yeah,
it's becoming bodies
we're
are
going
trend.
back almost to the '50s, right, where curviness is actually a plus. But what's really happening, especially with women, is people are now really starting to ignore that, not completely. Like,
Mhm,
if you see an actress and she's really, really fit and toned and small hipped and all that, you're like, "Wow, look at her shape," right? But then you see another actress and maybe she's not that fit, but you're not thinking, "Hey, she's overweight."
mhm,
Because she carries herself in a way that's just so positive.
yeah.
So we are looking at that less when it comes to women. I don't think we got there for guys yet, though. I really don't. And that's one of the reasons I started doing this. I think guys need to feel a little more confident in their bodies because those women who are larger are dressing okay. Like they're dressing like they're not big people. They're just wearing their clothes and confident. And guys need to get a little more into that space. So I think I think that doing this with men and women together is a real, real positive thing. Now I'm not saying it's eliminated for women.
No, I would say
Yeah.
there's an in between, right? Because there's always a sexualization of dad bods. Dad bods are awesome. That's awesome. But for women, it's, oh, get back to work. Oh, you should be bouncing back quicker. Oh, you should be doing all the things you were doing
Yeah,
before you had the baby right now.
they let some guys off the hook. Um,
But to an extent, they're like,
yeah,
oh, up to this point. But then
yeah.
once you get here, not so much.
I don't care what you say about dad bods, you are never gonna catch me in jean shorts with a tucked in polo shirt,
Oh, come on.
socks, and some kind of Velcro strappy sandal. That's just never ever gonna happen
Yeah.
with me. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm bigger than most guys weight-wise, but I appear different, and that appearance is not because of anything other than there's a part of me that ignores my size. There is a part of me that inside, I'm not a 400-pound man. Inside, in my heart and in my mind, I'm 200 pounds. And I'm sometimes literally surprised when I sit in a chair and don't fit, or when I see myself in a picture, or I put on a shirt that doesn't fit. I'm sometimes surprised because in my head, I'm not there. But it took me a lot of years to come here. I didn't have a show like this to really listen to somebody talk about it. That's why I'm willing to take the hits. And not every comment is as positive as this, is it? So I'm willing to take a hit if you're willing to throw it.
Right. Here's the next one. My little brother is overweight, not because he has an illness, but because he eats too much. Too much fat and sugar. Obviously, eating less rich food is a choice for most overweight people, just like quitting smoking, which is my case. It's a huge effort, but it's our responsibility. My body doesn't need nicotine, just as the bodies of overweight people don't need to eat so much fat and sugar. It's common sense. Not easy to accept, but true.
That is a very, very common refrain, not only that I hear in that comment, but I've heard from other people in my life. Because my life has been so surrounded with diet and weight loss, especially because of the TV show, I get a lot of comments like this. In fact, I phoned into the Michael Smirkana show on POTUS once because he had a topic that went towards, do we do bariatric surgery on children
Hmm.
when we see them tending towards obesity? I don't know how I feel about that. I do know, as somebody who gained most of his weight or started gaining weight pre-puberty, that if it's not something we stop early, it's a very, very difficult thing to stop later, right? And I don't know if that is a genetic thing, and I don't know if that is, an emotional thing, but right before I was on his show and able to speak, the caller before me decided to go on a rant similar like this, saying that the problem is kids don't go outside and play anymore. The problem is we used to go and play ball in the park. We used to play football. Now kids are in their basement on their Xboxes, and that's why we have an obesity problem. Is that true? I don't know that that's true. But what I can tell you is I grew up in the era where we went outside to play, and I did all those things. So why did I gain weight? The response to me was, I don't know, genetics. The thing is, we just don't know. So the issue isn't, to me, his little brother eating poorly or doing whatever. The issue is, why is he doing that? See, the comment there from his brother, who obviously loves him, is he's choosing to do this. But why is he choosing to do that? Why is he choosing to do that instead of doing something other? That's the question he has to ask his little brother before it's too late. There's no question that gaining weight physically is a calorie in, calorie out thing. There is also a question that for some reason we don't answer is, why does it affect some people differently than other people? But at the end of it, why is that person choosing to eat more than this person? I mean, what is he saying? That his little brother's just trying to eat himself to a place where he's no longer capable of living? What is he trying to say there? That his brother is a bad person because he's choosing to do this? He's not a bad person. But then he went on to equate it to smoking. And he's right. Both are an addiction that neither one you have to do to an excess. But what's the difference between quitting smoking and dieting? You can quit smoking, chew on a pencil. In fact, you know what a lot of people that quit smoking do? They gain weight because the way they substitute the feeling of putting something in their mouth is they start eating. But when you go on a diet, guess what you can't stop doing? Eating. So imagine if you were somebody who was quitting smoking and the remedy to you was, here's a pack of cigarettes. They have to last you the whole month. Good luck to you. You get a new pack next month. Doesn't work out as well for them.
Yeah.
That's what dieting is. So if you have a young man like his brother who's struggling with eating and his weight, he needs to get to somebody to talk to about why you're doing that. He doesn't need a nutritionist. He doesn't need somebody to teach him that eating lettuce is better than eating a cheeseburger. Who doesn't know that? The question is, why are you choosing the cheeseburger? Does that make sense? Okay. And as Forrest Gump once famously said, that's all I gotta say about that. So take a minute, guys, and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and 100% put comments in there because we're going to start making comments. We're gonna start reading comments and we're gonna go over them because really that's the whole point of the show.
Look for part 2, coming soon, where we go through more comments. Again, feel free to leave a comment and we just might talk about it in another episode.